name of my business is Drag Distribution. Yeah. So my business basically is on trading and on distributorship, listen to the so-called stockists in Singapore. I'm really mostly automotive class.
So what do you usually do?
For nature of the business is that we import the glass and our distributor will keep the stock. So as is when the end user need, they will do the supplies to them. Mostly will be to the workshop. Yeah, they will actually, when one's broken, they will go through the process, claim from the various insurance company. And once they get their approval, they will make the payment.
So in this business, do you think that networking is very important?
Yes and no, it depends. It's how should I put it? It should say that the business is being controlled as well because by the insurance company. So in Singapore, they are very limited. The big player will be in the market controlling so-called the in our industry called automotive. That's all. So they will give a green light whether they get the approval and the thing will be changed. Let's say the approval is not given by them and the money start will be by the end user.
So you are so proprietor, right? So
Yep.
what made you have the decision to not work with, so-called work with the other, like to hire other employees to work?
Okay, it's very subjective. Let's say for this business I have on my own, when I import in, I need to keep the stock. I don't really need that kind of manpower to make the supply to deliver to the various shops or so-called the stockists. So the stockists will make the arrangement themselves to pick up from my place. So I don't need a lot of workers. So the more I have, the more I'm going to spend.
So why don't you tell me some of your life history prior to starting your entrepreneurship venture?
Okay, I start off, I should say, at a very young age. To put it right, should be 26 years old. So contact-wise is by chance. Actually, business is luck. You don't need a degree. You don't need so-called MBA to be successful. Ultimately, is you have the chance, opportunity given, and you work hard, and you keep, how to say, how should I put it, upgrading yourself in the sense that, okay, this product that I'm doing, is there a new technology coming up from there? And you have to keep so-called your stockists or so-called your customer base updated. Okay, this is a new product. What they are good at. And this particular product, what kind of technology is now they have? Let's say in the past, for vehicle, they use just a glass when it's broken to change, the rubber molding. Now with the new technology, it's not required at all. You just use so-called the gum paste, yeah, and put it on, and it will stick onto the car. So on this ground, you save a lot of money. Let's say for the new technology now, they call it so-called acoustic wind cooling. Maybe when you sit inside the car, you listen to lesser noise. Then for this part, the cost will be higher for the so-called the glass itself. And how should I put it? Okay, like what I say, technology play a part, and it's international. Because Singapore, we do not have this kind of technology at all. We rely on factory all over the world, especially our neighbor, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand. So this so-called is partner in politics. So we really need this country to support us. So if let's say by the agent itself alone, he will not be able to support the market. Any entry, don't say just in my industry alone. Talking about IT, in the software or hardware, or maybe in medical, we cannot have so-called rely on a distributorship alone. We need a few players. So in order to justify, because a lot of money being involved, we do not get the support from so-called the government at all. Because what the government help is like so-called PIC claim, you know, and whether you have older worker above 50 years old, you know, you get some benefit from there. But ultimately, it depends on the industry. If you need to carry heavy stuff at that kind of age, do you think they can do it? There is no way. To set up a company or to so-called open up a company is very easy. Okay, ultimately, is that you need the support. What kind of support do you need? Very simple. Do you need a so-called a place? Yeah, and that place you need to rent. It don't belong to you. You need to pay rental. You need telephone line. You need broadband. You need all the licensing for so-called your computer to work with. You cannot just say, oh, it's a private, end of the day you get in troubles. You can't. So all these are costing that's so high that nobody actually look into it. Not just so simple set of business. Right now, in this century, to set up a business with so-called zero cost is impossible. If the government is ready to help entrepreneurship, the first question I would like to ask is how much they are willing to give up to let so-called Singaporeans to have a try. Young generation, I doubt, they are willing to do that because the cost is there. Unless they can say, oh, starting up cost on so-called phone bill, rental, and a place that you need to require. Maybe it's free for the first 1 to 2 years for you to start up and get a feel how is it like. This is not so simple just about dollar and cents. Dollar and cents is one part, and the other part you need to know is what kind of support you'll be getting. So whatever is the cost factor becomes. So in fact, when we import the item itself, it's very cheap. It's just like you're having a handphone, whether it's an iPhone 6 or coming out of iPhone 7 with a new technology. It's a very cheap phone. But why when we buy it, it's so expensive? The package that you throw in, Singtel, M1, StarHub, all get involved in this day. It's the same like my product itself. Glass are made of sand and water. It's actually very cheap. But the resources or the people that pump in the technology is very expensive. That's why it goes so high in price when we actually sell. And when we keep a lot of the storage, that is why the price go up a bit. And also the exchange rate, where you're buying from. Usually we'll use US dollar.
So, how did you come to be an entrepreneur? Do you plan for it?
Yes and no. It's by chance I got the opportunity. So I just took in the offer. And
Was there a mentor?
not really, that's what I say. Business-wise is a chance being given. So at my age, at that time, I have a few or so-called close friends when I start work, and eventually they are being upgraded into certain companies. They just find me as a mutual friends and they say, okay, I have such as this and this, would you be interested? Which I play quite a big role with so-called Honeywell, and I handled the project, and one of the projects for this Singapore technology, they are doing this diesel engine. So it lasted me 6 months, and the project ended, and that was a good experience. Opportunity was being given to me. I managed to so-called clean up, recondition their filters for so-called big ship. I don't think I ever seen before. It's like 20-30 times bigger than a normal car engine. Just imagine. So it's an eye-opener for me. And I believe not many people have that kind of opportunity. So I deal direct with Honeywell through their so-called manufacturer in USA. I think the brand is called Frem, if I can still remember. So it lasts about 6 months. We furnish that stock. And this stock was being transported back to ST Singapore Technology in Illinois. And once the project ended, I'm happy about it. Then it's called a project is done. So subsequently, my existing business is a so-called ongoing affair, which I came to know a few manufacturers. Okay, one from Japan. Okay, they are quite big, I have to say, top 2 in the world. So I get the support. Okay, what they have manufacturing will be in Japan, in the Asia region like Taiwan and China. So from this, I'm able to sustain where I am today. But ultimately, like what I say, Singapore is a very small market. The trade will die off. You need to do export. But when you start to do export, still there's a big risk. You need a lot of funding. You don't have that kind of fund. When you export out, you don't know he or she it is. I mean, manpower to some comes in. You need marketing people, you need sales people, and to pay them a visit. How and which company do they look like? Or let's say right now, Singapore is opening up. We need to go to Cambodia and so on. I should say they are so-called third world country, but you will be surprised what they have in their country, talking about automotive alone. They have a newer version of models than in Singapore. But ultimately, I can say the market is there. You need that kind of support. I mean, monetary, financially strong. You know, and people like doing some so-called marketing, traveling there, and see how the company is like. Would they be strong enough to pay you? If money don't count and it keeps doing the supply, at the end of the day, some company will not be able to sustain. So that is very important.
You don't consider yourself as a risk taker?
Yes. You see, I'm born with nothing. If I don't take that kind of risk, I'm very doubtful anybody will give me that kind of opportunity. And if the opportunity comes, yes, I will just take it. So I consider myself a risk taker.
Were there any entrepreneurial activities in your life that you believe was like the more successful part of your business?
Yes. My best time was I make more or less like 30,000 a month. That is a time which I enjoy. And I consider I'm lucky. I'm happy enough. I believe not many people, even you are a degree holder, you will not be able to make that kind of money. There's no chance at all. So, like what I say, I take that kind of risk. I'm very happy. I make it. And I've proven, I should say, yes, a certain risk you need to take, but that risk you take, you have to consider like, how to say, it will not involve your life. You know, it's like, you take the risk, you have to weigh end of the day, like justifiable. You know, yours, you need to look after your family, that's more important. And secondly, you come to your business. Yes, I am a risk taker, but still I will weigh the balance. If it's too risky, there's no point in it.
Then are you scared of failure?
Success and failure is part and parcel of life. If you have a failure, you learn a mistake, and from there you can become stronger. If you don't face a failure and it pop up one of these days, you will not be able to know how to handle it. And you will say, oh, my life is gone. What I should say is that very simple logic. When you are born with nothing, you are died with nothing. So ultimately, is that you face with failure. It's the same like you have nothing, yeah. But come back to square one. You get a so-called a lesson to learn, and from there you become stronger. So if you tell me completely you have no failure, there's only one thing I can tell you. What they call in China, 富饶. That is the second generation, because they will not know so-called what is the hardship is like. What so-called their forefather or their father or their grandfather have actually contributed. So once they come in, sit on the golden chair. Yeah, when you ask them, they will not know anything at all. Basically, they are pro and con. They are good and they are bad. It depends on the teaching from their fathers. If they do the correct way, the company will stay good. If they are not, which I have seen pro and con many before, but I would not like to emphasize who they are. So I should say it's a wastage. What they build up, it becomes nothing. Some are good, they will just listen, things still carry on and stay there, which I can still see.
Then, what are some of the challenges you face and how do you overcome them? And like, what type of values you hold?
Challenges will be like, I have the business, I have the deal. Financially, I don't have the money. So when I go to the bank, they will ask you this and that, what you have, and how much money they can actually loan to you. But sometimes when you call back, you don't justify the whole scenario. I mean, you can't close the deal at all. You don't cover it. So it's like just a big cake, a birthday cake. How much can you eat? You just take it, one piece, two pieces. You say no, it's very nice and delicious. I need to have the whole cake. It's quite impossible. How much your stomach can take it? That's it. So these are the difficulties that I face. Yeah, I got a deal, but I am not strong enough to actually, take up the whole project. And another thing is, you believe too much on a person, and you trust too much. And end of the day, when the deal is done, you can't collect back. So there is a lesson you need to learn as well. So I will not take too much risk without I'm a risk taker. That is out of Singapore. When within in Singapore, the whole country, I will still be able to see with my both eyes. Then I will still go ahead with the business. So in fact, my business will not grow as big, like being listed or so on, because it's still very limited. I mean, I take risks, but the risk is not that big. It's still a certain limitation. So to say I'm not that greedy at all.
Then was it hard to juggle between like your challenges, your business, and your family wise or other parts of your life?
Yes, it is. So ultimately, you ask yourself one question: your family is more important, your business is more important. At the end of the day, they need to eat. What should I do? That's what I say. I will segregate out, okay, which I hope to balance out. And time goes by, everybody is happy, family is healthy, I will be contented. So that is why my business can grow, but to a certain limit, and it will not be over that kind of limit that I can't control it. If I can't, that means I'll be working like 24 hours. But you say, oh no, that is crazy. It's true. If I come across, there was once when the business was so big, all my container stuff are not able to load into the warehouse itself. I have to park it outside of the warehouse. And you imagine I'll be sleeping outside to look after. If the things are broken or taken away, who's account for? You are the boss of the company, it belongs to you, you are account for. So that is one that I ever faced before. Look after the staff, maybe give me about 3 days when being so-called unload off, sufficient space in my warehouse, I can be in. That is the toughest in my life, which I need to face. I cannot just say that I face this problem, I can't solve. Everything can be solved, it's just a matter of time. And how you want to juggle it. That's why I say cannot be too greedy. A piece of cake, how much you can eat, you just take. And it's time to let go, you have to let go. If the cake, you don't put it in the freezer, it's going to spoil. If the ice cream cake, it will melt. So you have to juggle. So as long as you are contented, life still goes on.
So we have come so much. What are your future plans from now on?
Frankly speaking, planning so many years, I would like to continue with that. I mean, you can still make money. Money will never say quite enough. But how much time I have in life, I can't live forever. already 50 years old. I might have enjoyable for another 10, 15, 20 years. I'm very contented. I don't want to be one day when I'm on my so-called wheelchair. I have a lot of difficulties walking around. And I need somebody to take care of me, which I would not like that to happen. That is what I'm thinking of. So be happy when it's good enough. Whether you make it or you don't make it, you need to let go and somebody has to take over. That's his life.
Then what is one word or one sentence that you can use to describe your whole entrepreneurship journey up till today?
I can say it's a very good opportunity for me, myself, and I do learn something from there, which I hopefully can pass some of my experience to my daughter. Not to share with her. I will not be around. One day I need to go, right? And she can get some lesson to be learned from what I've actually gone through. This is what I can tell anybody who listens to that.
Is there a life quote you want to share with like the viewers or like your daughter?
Life is very simple. As long as you are not greedy, live it simple. You don't cheat, you don't lie, you'll be contented. Once you start to cheat or you start to lie, I think you'll be very fearful in your life. And things that you don't know, don't be shy. Ask. And those people that actually willing to share with you their experience is a benefit. And if you don't open your ear to listen, it's a failure. If he or she doesn't want to actually tell you anything more, you have nothing to learn from he or she. It all depends on the individual. What I can learn from my experiences. My past so-called customer, they have actually given me a good opportunity. Not all, but some are willing to pass off their experience to me. And from there I learn. I mean, they are so-called my mentors, my elders. If they are not willing to express or actually tell you what is actually happening or what their experiences, money can't buy, because it's their life, you can't touch it, and they are sharing with you. From there you learn something. It's the same like when you interview me, that I share with you. Some are not even willing to. They just like a TV drama. Hey, this is not good. You need to cut here and there, end of the day. So like what I say, as long as you don't cheat, you don't lie, things you don't know you ask, and people share their experience, and you listen to it. Take the goods, throw away those that are unwanted. You'll be successful. That is very important.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay. Thank you.